Hello folks, this is Sula speaking. You're listening to another video for Teamfight Tactics. This is another video taken from the public beta environment, the PBE, and we're going to be taking a look at some more early Set 8 footage in this game. In this particular game, I are going to be looking at a spellcasting team comp. There are a number of different traits that are associated with AP, or magic damage, in this particular set. And so we're going to be looking at traits like Spellslinger and Star Guardians and Heart and all of those kind of related traits which overlap in different ways. Talk a little bit about how they function and get a sense of what some of the champions look like that play into these team compositions. This is, of course, early Set 8 footage on the beta environment, so all the numbers are subject to change. The champions shouldn't change. They never really change the champions and the traits associated with them, but the actual numerical values on units as far as how strong their abilities are or how strong the traits are, all of that is the kind of thing that gets changed around as they patch. This game was played on the first weekend of the PBE, and by the time that you watch this video, it will already be outdated, but that is, again, very common for PBE because stuff changes all the time. All right, anyway, so again, Set 8 is the big innovation in this set is the hero augments, so we'll get a chance to see some more of them in this game, although I believe the hero augment is not until the third one, if I'm remembering this game correctly. I've been playing a whole bunch of different games trying to test out this particular setup. I had played maybe 3 or 4 different games, and I was just trying to see if I could get a spellcasting setup that I particularly liked, because it is a little bit confusing with the way all these traits overlap. What I'm going to look to try to do is play through Annie in the early game. Annie is a frontline tank. She's the unit I am most trying to find right now, and in this particular patch on PBE, Annie was a little bit overtuned. I'm definitely going to be forcing this setup to some extent. I don't really have items or champions that are particularly conducive to playing a spellcasting setup right now. The one big thing I get is the tier, and then I'm also going to get this. There's the option to take a Luden's Echo, so I'm going to go ahead and grab that, because that is useful for spellcasting comps. There's no mage trait in this set, so no double casting with mages in this particular set. But I am still going to have Ludens is still good with spellcasting team comps, because a lot of the champions you would want to play are champions that have relatively low mana costs, so they can cast fairly frequently. For the moment, though, I don't really have much of a setup here. As I said, this is definitely me trying to force to a certain extent. I kind of have some of the pieces, but not quite enough of the pieces that I need. I have Poppy and Wukong for frontline. They have the Defender trait, which is a trait that provides armor. And then I have a random 2-star Kale in the backline. Kale does physical damage, so I have slapped a sword on her. But I am expecting to lose these rounds because my board is pretty terrible. And so I figured I will probably just lose the first round or two. The Defender trait, I'll just read the description here real quick. I'm trying to cover the trait since we're at the very, very beginning of this set. Defender innately taunts nearby enemies at the start of combat. Your team gains bonus armor, and defenders gain more. So right now, Defender 2 is 30 armor and 60 for defenders. So a lot like Mystic trait in some previous sets, in the sense that instead of giving your whole team magic resistance, Defender units, everybody on your team gets armor, and then Defender units get basically double the armor benefit. And then, oh, the great luck here, I actually hit the Annie, who I want to play immediately. So I'm going to go ahead and play the Annie. And then this is a sign now that I can get rid of the Kale. So I'm going to look to drop the Kale and put in Lulu. I also reforged the sword because I didn't really have much use for the sword. And I ended up getting a glove out of it. That's not quite what I was looking for. I would have liked a rod. I would have liked another tier. Could have made a blue buff with that. I also would have liked a frontline item. Like a belt would have been great for Sunfire. A cloak would have been great for Gargoyle's Stoneplate. Even another vest would have been okay for Bramble. So honestly, this is not quite the reforging that I wanted, but at the very least, I did get something that was more useful than a sword. Sword was probably the least useful item that I could do here. About the only thing I could really do with it would be to make a, I don't know, I guess I could make Spear of Shojin, but in this set, they have enormously nerfed Spear of Shojin. It is very bad as an item. I have no idea why they did that. Blue buff is better than Spear of Shojin in pretty much every single situation possible, and I have no clue why they did that. But until they revert some of the massive nerfs to Spear of Shojin, it is not an item that you want to make. So I'd rather use the tier for something else. Anyway, I was actually able to win that fight. I went ahead and leveled just so I could get Poppy in. And what is this? I have a new item popping up on my bench. Well, this is the function of the Gadgeteen trait. So let me go ahead and explain what the heck this trait does. It has 3 and 5 as far as its cost levels. Gadgeteens create random modified weapons with powerful effects. Any champions can equip the item, but they fall apart after one-player combat. Gadgeteens make new items once the old ones have been used. So Gadgeteen is more of an early game trait. Most of the Gadgeteen units are cheap units. For instance, I have 1 cost Lulu, 1 cost Poppy, 2 cost Annie on my board. So 1 cost, 1 cost, 2 cost. This is a relatively early game trait. Does not scale as great into the late game when there's lots more items, but particularly for the early game, the value of the items that come out of Gadgeteen is pretty strong. So for instance, I got a Sunfire Cape here, and the stats on these items are slightly better than the normal versions of these items. So yeah, I've got like this better version of a Sunfire Cape, and yeah, Sunfire is actually pretty good for the early game. Now, which item you get is random. And that item you will have for one stage, and then the item will fall apart, and you'll get a different item for the next stage. So you kind of just have to make do with what you're getting and like play around the items that you're finding. So, as I said, pretty interesting concept. It's a little bit like Scrap from previous sets. All right, anyway, I had the chance to pick an item first, and oh, yeah, because I lost those early rounds, I had the chance to pick early. I was going to take the tier, and then I could have looked to make a blue buff, which is quite good on some of the spellcasting champions. Blue's been reconfigured a little bit in this. Instead, it still gives you the 50 mana at start, but instead of restoring to 20 mana after casting an ability, now it causes the spell or ability itself to go down by 10 mana cost, and you also get additional mana if the unit that casts kills an enemy with it. Kind of weird. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and grab this Vel'Koz. I decided I would take the rod because the best way I can use the glove is to make a jeweled gauntlet. That's going to be very useful because some of the traits that are associated with spellcasters, the Spellslinger trait in particular, provides ability power innately. And as I've said in previous videos, anytime that a trait is giving you ability power innately, you want to amplify that by trying to pick up by playing into crit stuff, basically. So Jeweled Gauntlet, since I'm going to be able to get AP from my trait, the Jeweled Gauntlet's going to be really quite nice to have because it's going to allow spells to crit. All right, now I went ahead and just played the Vel'Koz because he is a 3-cost unit, a threat. One of the things I didn't quite realize is that Vel'Koz is a stun bot, but he doesn't really do much damage. So he is a 3-cost threat. And you play him if you want additional crowd control. He will stun whoever the highest damage dealer is on the enemy team. But it turns out his ability doesn't actually do very much damage. So he is not a unit you play for damage. He's a unit that you splash if you need additional crowd control. So I see that and I'm like, all right, well, let's ditch this unit. This unit does not feel very useful. So we'll just sell him so we get the 3 extra gold. I'm going to put my items on Lux for the time being. Lux is a 1-cost unit. Her traits are Spellslinger and Star Guardian. And she is going to be the unit that I'm hoping I can 2-star quickly. Again, she's a 1-cost unit. But I'm going to stick these items on her largely because she makes the Spellslinger trait. And then I'm going to just rely on her as my damage dealer. But I'm hoping that I can replace her relatively quickly because as a 1-cost 1-star unit, she is not exactly going to be carrying very hard. Lux's ability is basically her E from standard League of Legends. She shoots out a pool and then detonates it on enemies nearby. She is pretty RNG heavy as far as units go in this set. She can sometimes toss her ult and then enemies move out of the way and it just hits nothing. On the other hand, sometimes she can toss it into a big clump of enemies and all of a sudden it does a whole lot of damage. So she is inconsistent as you would kind of expect from a 1-cost unit. But for early game, she is a decent person to put items on and then transfer the items off later on. All right, well, let me cover then a little bit more about the traits as we have another minion round here. So I'm getting a little bit luckier here. I managed to hit the 2-star Lulu. Lulu is not, again, a unit that's going to be in this team comp long term, but I can play Lulu for right now. I'm also going to sell the Wukong. This drops Defender trait, but it's going to allow me to transfer my defensive items over to Annie. And I was able to do that because I found another good frontliner unit, and that is Alistar. Alistar is going to be another useful unit that I can play up there. Alistar combines very well with Annie because they both have the Ox-Force trait, which I will get to in a little bit. In the meantime, let's see what items I can get out of this minion stage. As I said, I would really like to find more Annies. Annie is really the key to this particular team composition. If you can find 2-star Annie early on. Well, I'm not going to find that. I'm going to get a lot of gold instead. I'm actually kind of low on items in this game, so it's good I'm getting the Gadgeteen items. I've been getting heavy gold instead. Now I'm going to go ahead and get a vest. That's not quite what I was looking for, and then I get a rod here. So I was like, all right, well, I can make do with this. We'll go ahead and make Archangel Staff. That's going to be useful. We'll make Bramble Vest. And then we've got this extra rapid fire cannon that we can put on the Lux, so she'll get additional attack speed. I could look to level here, but I'm looking at who I'm up against. I'm up against someone who potentially hasn't lost yet, and then also 2 other players that are on the higher end of experience or higher end of health. So I was like, you know what? I'm up against stronger boards. Let's just sack this round in the name of additional economy. I think that's better than trying to win this. And in fact, I'm up against the player who hasn't lost a round yet. So the built different player who has a 2-star Renekton. Renekton, a little bit overtuned in this patch. Generally a unit that is not easy to kill. And let's just put it at that. So it's a good thing I did not try to level here. I would not have won this round anyway. And the question is, can I kill another unit? I've killed one. Can I kill a second one? No. The answer is no. Again, 2-star Renekton with those items just too strong for the early game, and we'll have to see if we can overcome that board later on in this one. By the way, this person, okay, another fight that's lasting a long time. Well, let's go ahead and see what the second augment is, and it turns out that this one's going to be golden. Oh, there's a Spellslinger crest there. So this is going to allow me to turn a unit into a Spellslinger. And that's great because this means it'll be very easy to play 6 Spellslinger. Normally I would probably look to play 4, but this is going to allow me to play 6. So I'm going to put this on Lulu for right now, and then my hope is I can transfer this to Zoe later on in the game. So let us cover what the Spellslinger trait does. The basic thing that it does is it gives additional ability power. The more Spellslingers you have, the more ability power they get. Right now, Spellslinger 2 is 20 ability power, Spellslinger 4, 60 ability power, Spellslinger 6, 100 ability power. So the AP gain is quite significant, and you can see why I want the Jeweled Gauntlet that's going to synergize nicely with all that AP. But the other thing that the trait does is it basically functions as though the unit in question has kind of like a sheen from normal League of Legends. Is that item still around in normal League of Legends? I'll read the description. Every 5 seconds, the next attack instead fires a magic orb at a random target, which explodes for 80% ability power as magic damage. So every 5 seconds, the next auto attack deals a % of AP as magic damage. So you can actually see it. There's a little orb graphic when the units attack with this. So they'll do it several times throughout the fight. Overall, that damage is pretty significant. It definitely works more in the early game. In the late game, the damage is not quite as significant, but in the late game, the scaling AP kind of takes over and makes the AP stronger. So overall, this is a pretty good trait. From what I have seen, playing heavily into Spellslinger in this patch version was kind of the stronger option. Playing heavily into Star Guardians did not really work that well in this patch. Who knows, that'll probably get shuffled around. But at least in this patch, Spellslinger was kind of one of the premier spellcasting traits. Now, the downside is right now my items are on this 1-star, 1-cost Lux, and I would prefer to have them on someone else. I would really wish I had the Jeweled Gauntlet and the Archangel Staff on Lulu at the moment, but I would have to find another Lux in order to sell and transfer, because right now Lux is one of my Spellslingers. I know I'm going to misstate that. And I also want her around because I'm going to be playing towards Star Guardians as well. Anyway, this fight is pretty close. Annie is going to get taken out. This person over there has a 2-star Annie. Unfortunately, my Lux got taken out at the very beginning of the fight. So, no, I'm not going to be able to overcome that particular fight. So, I'm kind of in pretty mediocre shape here. Like, 68 health is not great. Economically, I'm in pretty good shape in terms of money, but health is not great, and I have not been on much of a win streak or a loss streak. So I wouldn't say that this has been a particularly amazing start thus far. All right, anyway, in terms of stuff right now, so I can try to take another spellcasting item, or I can try to take a frontliner item. I would have liked the belt, but then I'm like, ooh, that belt's on a gangplank. That is a 1-cost unit. I do not want to take a belt on a 1-cost unit. I felt like I kind of had enough spellcasting items right now, because remember, I keep getting the free Gadgeteen item. And then, so I kind of want to leave one slot open in case I would get something like this, a Spear of Shojin that I can toss on there. So I decided I would opt to itemize Annie instead at the moment. So let me take a minute to cover Annie. She is a very important unit if you're going to be playing this team comp because she is the primary early game tank. She has 3 useful... Oh, by the way, Annie was a little overtuned in this patch as well. I expect she'll get nerfed on the next PBE patch. So she has 3 different traits. Gadgetine, that's of course providing me these extra items. Also has Spellslinger, so she is also going to get additional ability power. That synergizes with her ability, which gives her a shield, so... Spellslinger, very useful trait on her. And then her last trait is Oxforce, which she is getting, in this case, from having Alistar in there. Oxforce has been the subject of a lot of complaining on the Reddit TFT and TFT forums. Basically, what this ability does is it provides additional attack speed, and the units gain additional attack speed as they lose health. Most importantly, though, once per combat, they become invulnerable for 1.5 seconds as they defend the city with their last breath. So basically, when they hit 0 HP, they will stay alive for 1.5 seconds, and they will continue tanking up there. So, like, Annie can continue to tank even after she hits 0 HP. Now, what I don't know is, I don't know if you can then heal the unit when they're on 0 HP, if they can, like, recover and get back to being safe again. I just honestly don't know if that's the case or not. But basically, the fact that the units can stay alive for an extra second and a half when they would otherwise be dead, it's a pretty big deal. That's exactly what you want when you're playing frontline tanks. You want them to just survive so they can tank longer. So Annie plus Alistar having that ability is really, really quite nice on them, and that's why I've been playing them. Anyway, I was able to find a LeBlanc. LeBlanc is another unit that has Spellslinger, so I have gone up to 4 Spellslinger because the damage increases a lot, from 25 to 80, or from 25 to 60, and that also gets another unit on the board who is going to be tossing out those empowered auto attacks. Give me those additional damage every 5 seconds. Kind of funny how that synergizes with Ludens as well. So we've got the, we've got the spellcast that, we've got the additional ability power to pump up their abilities. By the way, there's Annie getting the Oxforce off. I think that may have won the fight. The fact that she got off that Oxforce to survive for an extra second and a half. But I'm getting the extra auto attack damage from the Spellslinger trait, or every 5 seconds they get that extra damage. And then Ludens kicks in when they spellcast as well. So, like, my early and mid game have been pretty mediocre, but now I found the unit I actually want to play through, and that is Zoe. All right, so Zoe, a very useful unit to play. She does not have the Spellslinger trait, but I am adding it to her with the Spellslinger, what is this, emblem that I have right here. And so this is going to make her into a very, very useful unit. So how would I best describe Zoe? I would say that she is very similar to Set 6 Malzahar is probably the best comparison I can make. She is a 3-cost unit, just as Malzahar was in that set. Her ability is a damage over time effect, dot effect, as we like to say. And she slowly kind of burns down the enemy team, although instead of being Malzahar, who would put the Malefic Visions, she puts a virus on the enemy unit, has low mana cost, so she casts frequently. Anyway, I'm rolling a little bit here. I wanted to roll to see if I could hit. I managed to hit the Annie 2-star. Now I'm just rolling a little bit. I decided I would roll down to 50 here, just because I still had a lot of 1 cost. Oh, you know what I was doing? I was trying to find another Lux, so I could just sell Lux and move Lux off my board. I don't actually hit the Lux, but I do get some big luck here. I am able to hit the 2-star Zoe, and that's really nice because Zoe's going to be my main carry. Now I just need to get my items off Lux and onto Zoe, but I can't do that until I find another Spellslinger unit. Otherwise, I can't. Otherwise, I can't make that transfer. So yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate that this really crummy Lux is still holding my items, and that's going to lower my damage from what it would otherwise be. Still, Annie is tanking forever. She's got a Bramble, she's got a Gargoyle Stoneplate, she got a Warmogs out of the Gadgetine item for this round, so she just doesn't die in that fight, and I'm able to chip down and kill the enemy team, even though my items were less than stellar, or even though my items are in the wrong place right now, unfortunately. All right, here's our last augment, and it's going to turn out to be a champion augment. So I was thinking about Zoe, but I have the utility Zoe augment. She stuns the 3 lowest health enemies for 4 seconds. Didn't seem that amazing. I decided I would take the LeBlanc one. Gain a LeBlanc. She creates a copy of the unit that she stands next to at 70% HP, and with no items, but still duplicates them. So I was like, that feels pretty good. I can go ahead and turn Annie into the unit that I want here. And then Annie will just get duplicated, and I'll have another strong frontline tank. That felt more useful than putting her in the back lines, because I don't feel like I need more damage. I feel like I just need the survivability at the moment. I also went ahead and dropped the Poppy in favor of the Echo. Echo is a much more useful unit. He has, again, a series of useful traits. He has Star Guardian trait, he has Prankster trait, and in addition to that, he also has the Aegis trait, which is the magic-resistant version of the Defender trait. So Defender gives everybody on the team armor, Aegis gives everybody on the team magic resistance, and Aegis units get double the benefit. Alright, well anyway, we're up against this person, IG Best, and look what they're playing. They're playing a mech board, and they managed to get a 2-star set that also has an Anima Visage. So it's like, oh man, that unit looks pretty nasty. We were not close to cracking that unit at all. So yeah, they're on 36 HP, and they've got this very annoying unit. We're going to have to see if we can find some way to deal with this particular unit. All right, anyway, so my decision was, by the way, I'm still trying to get these items off of Lux and over to Zoe, because Zoe is kind of my main carry right now. I will go ahead and read Zoe's official trait description here. Let me just find her on the cheat sheet. She is, all right, so her traits are Gadgeteen, Hacker, and Prankster. She has all three of those traits in at the moment. Oh no, Gadgeteen's not in play at the moment. We took that out to play Tarek. Her ability is Trouble Bubble. Zoe launches a bubble at the nearest non-infected enemy, infects them with a virus that deals magic damage over 10 seconds. Infected enemies take more damage. Only costs 40 mana, so she casts very frequently. You get the idea. It's very similar to Set 6 Malzahar, although instead of her ability transferring the way Malz's did, what happens is she will deliberately target whoever is not infected with damage. That said, it does quite a bit of damage. It is base 700 damage at 2-star, and then that doubles to 1500 at 3-star. And it also increases the amount of damage the unit takes. So units also take 10% more damage from all sources once they're infected. Anyway, pretty useful ability. Again, she is single target damage, so she kind of does fall off in the late game unless you can 3-star her, but she's a very useful mid-game champion to play through. So I would really like to get my items over there and get them on her. Anyway, there is a Mordekaiser here, but I'm not able to get it. I am going to go ahead and take this Chain Vest because I want to put a Sunfire Cape on Annie up in the front lines. I am well aware that Sunfire falls off in the late game, but I was up against that set who had the Anima Visage, and I was like, I definitely need a heal cut if I'm going to have any chance of dealing with that unit. That's my only real chance, is to be able to get some kind of healing debuff. All right, now I'm going to roll, and I finally find another Lux, so now I can go ahead and put these items on Zoe. So I'm going to happily go for that, and now I'm looking for some of the other more expensive late game units here. I would love to find, all right, so we're going to find Alistar 2-star. That's nice, good frontliner. I'm going to toss in Soraka, who gives me the admin trait, which is going to vary from round to round. So admin, yeah, I don't have a good feel for this trait yet, and this game is not really going to play into the admin trait. So I'm going to hold off on talking too much about that one because, as I said, I still do not have a very good feel for admin as a trait. But you basically get to pick from a couple different options as far as what the trait does. And in this particular game, I think I picked that the units heal when enemy units die or something like that. As I said, I do not end up playing this trait for all that long in this game. What I'm trying to do is to get up to 6 Spellslinger because I've got the Spellslinger emblem. So I'm looking to try to find Talia, Sona, and Janna, who are all late game units that are very useful to have in this particular team composition. I do have quite a lot of traits on my board right now. I'm actually pretty happy with the traits I have in here. Another trait that I did want to mention, another one that I don't play heavily into in this game, is the Heart trait. I have that right now on Yuumi, and I also have that on the Soraka that I just put in. This is a stacking trait that stacks throughout the course of combat. Heart trait is, what's the official description? When Heart units cast their ability, your team gains stacking ability power for the rest of combat. So Heart 2 is 4 ability power. This can be a very powerful trait if you play heavily into it. It's kind of like Academy from the first half of Set 6. It stacks over time, and it will stack up additional ability power for your team over the course of the fight. So it's something that's often useful to put on your team because there's a number of useful units that have this trait that you'd want in a spellcasting team. And particularly Sona, Soraka, and Syndra all have this. And they are all Wow, I'm going to get so confused with their 3 names over the course of this set. Sona's a 3 cost, Soraka's a 4 cost, and Syndra is a 5 cost. So they're very useful units to have. Good utility units. Not so much carry units as utility units, but putting them on the board, getting Heart into play, quite nice. If you can get +1 Heart, it's pretty easy to play 4 Heart in the late game. And then every time one of the Heart units casts, you are gaining, at Heart 4, it's 6 ability power. So, if you have 4 units on the board. By the way, Zoe makes a very good Heart unit as well, because her mana costs are so low that if you put Heart on her, then she's going to cast, and she's going to keep ramping up the ability power for the rest of the team. So she makes a good Spellslinger, she makes a good Heart unit. She can make a decent Star Guardian, but I would probably not turn her into a Star Guardian because I'm not sure that she really needs the additional mana generation. I should be clear, I haven't talked about the Star Guardian trait because I'm not really playing into it in this game. The Star Guardian trait causes your Star Guardians to generate additional mana, so that's what that trait does. Anyway, I could go for the LeBlanc 3-star, I opt not to. Alright, now I found a Sona, so that's another Spellslinger, and there's a Talia, so now I'm going to reconfigure my board to get 6 Spellslingers in. So we're going to drop the Heart. Sounds bad to say that, right? We're going to drop the Heart, and instead we're going to be looking to play into more levels of Spellslinger, because as I mentioned, Spellslinger, the benefit goes from 60 ability power up to 100 ability power, and of course that's more units that are getting their casts off. I also have the possibility, if I can get some more AP items, that look to itemize Talia, because Talia is one of the standard late game units that you would be looking to itemize. She is the 4-cost Star Guardian, and she makes a good carry unit in her own right. But that said, for the moment, I'm playing through Zoe. I'm going to look to continue playing through her, although you can see this fight does not go very well. I'm up against a mech board, and it doesn't go great, because mech is kind of overtuned in this particular patch. By the way, I also have a champion duplicator, and I realize I'm now on 6 Zoes, so I only need to find 2 more Zoes, and I've got a 3-star version of this unit. I would also like to move out of the Lux if I can, and oh my god, now I'm on 7 Zoes. Oh my goodness. Okay, I only need 1 more for Zoe 3-star. I could look to go for Annie, but I thought it was probably a little too late to look to go for Annie. And alright, there's another Annie, but that's not really going to help me. I was like, really would like to find this. I do have the item for an Ionic Spark, though, so I decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and make this. I think this is pretty useful. It's what the components make. Ionic Spark will debuff the magic resistance of enemy units around them. And oh, look, it's another mech board. This is a little bit unfair of me to say this because mech boards are kind of innately troublesome for Zoe. Zoe's ability is damage over time. She will not target the unit she has already put the bubble on. So she does not deal very well with like one big super unit, which of course is what the mech team is all about. Of course, here she has no choice except to cast at the Jax over there because it's the only unit left alive on the board. But she is still not really well suited to dealing with those particular kind of teams. And in fact, most of the spellcasting teams in general do not handle mech very well. Mech is a pretty problematic trait. It's been nerfed over and over and over again here on PBE, but it's still quite strong. And oh, hello! Look at this store. We've got a Sona and we've got a Zoe. Okay, so I can't buy that for this round, but I have 35 HP, so I'll be able to buy the Sona, and then I'll be able to buy the Zoe and use the champion duplicator. So we're going to have Zoe 3-star for the next round. That's awesome. I was thinking I might be able to take a Zoe off carousel, but I'm not going to have to do that. I'll just be able to get a Zoe right here, and that'll be awesome. All right, well, oh, look what it is. It's this mech board, the one that has the set. So yeah, the set with these items just... does not appear to be much that I can do. I have the Sunfire Cape, so I'm burning him, but we just don't seem to be able to hurt this unit at all. The whole team is kind of based around this unit. There's a there's a Sona in the back that's just healing this unit constantly with a blue buff so that Sona casts more often. And wow, we literally cannot scratch this unit at all. It's just that Anima Visage healing for 5% of health every single second, plus a Titans, plus a Gargoyles, and with the Sona in the backlines to heal. Yeah, okay. I wasn't able to do much about that, so I guess we'll try to do something later on, I guess. Alright, on this particular carousel, I was looking around. There wasn't any unit I particularly wanted. Mordekaiser, by the way, would be a great unit to splash into this comp at level 9, but I don't know if I'm going to have enough gold to get to level 9. I'm relatively low on health. I'm actually in last place on health. And it is awful expensive to get up to level 9. So maybe if I can get to level 9, Mordekaiser's ability shreds the magic resistance of the entire enemy team. So he would be quite nice if I could get there. Anyway, though, we're going to go ahead and buy the Zoe. I decided to take a Zeke's Herald. I thought that would probably be the most useful item I could buy here. And so I'm going to go ahead and look to duplicate the Zoe. There we go. The Zoe 3-star. Boom. So this unit's going to be very, very nice. And remember, now my LeBlanc's Augment ability is that she duplicates whoever she stands next to. So I was like, all right, I need you to stand next to Zoe. Yes, I would like to have another 2-star Zoe on my board. Thank you very much. That would be great. So now we'll be getting double Zoes. Of course, the second one does not have any items, but 3-star Zoe, still not bad, right? Still pretty good having another 3-star unit over there just to throw out even more bubbles against the other team. And how much damage does my unit do? Oh, it does 3,975 damage. Okay. Yeah, that's a dot effect. It does take 10 seconds, but still, 3,975 damage. That feels pretty good. That feels like a pretty good choice. So we're just going to be tossing bubbles absolutely everywhere. By the way, Annie is still alive in this fight. People have definitely said that Annie is way too strong right now for a 2-cost unit, and I agree. But yeah, we're going to win that fight, and that person's board did look pretty strong. But hey, Zoe 3-star, pretty good unit over there. Not the worst. All right, while we've got a minute here, I'll come back to this in a minute. I want to talk about this fight. So I'm up against another mech player again, 6 brawlers, 3 mechs. And I'm sitting here. They have a Jax augment as well. I think they have the one that gives Jax dodge chance. I know I'm going to hit this person, and I'm waiting here, and they're rolling it down. I was like, oh my god, are you kidding me? They're going to hit 3-star Jax literally on the round that I'm about to fight them. Are you kidding me? The one thing that's working in my favor is that the itemization for Jax is honestly not that great. The big thing they're missing is they don't have any healing for Jax on this board. So they have 3-star Vi, they have Jax, and oh my god, they have the Jax Relentless Assault too. They have the Jax Carry Augment. It just allows Jax to stack attack speed endlessly. So this is honestly a misitemization of Jax. He gets all the attack speed he needs from his Augment. He does not need Giant Slayer plus Rapid Fire Cannon plus Rage Blade. He honestly has too much attack speed. He does not have enough survivability, and he does not have any healing. I guess he has Celestial Blessing from his Augment, but oh, this is going to be close. Come on, Zoe. Oh, she's going to dash away at the last second, and that is going to be enough to win and knock this person out of the lobby. It'll take a second, but yeah, we got him out of the lobby. Oh my god, thank goodness. I did not want to hit that board any longer as I hit 2-star Tarek, and now we can look to go to level 9. All right, well, what was the ability that caused Zoe to dash away? Well, this ability is called Prankster. Once per combat at 50% health, spawn a target dummy, move to a safe location, and restore 500 health. If you go to Prankster 3, the Prankster also stuns the enemy that kills the little dummy that they leave behind. So not an amazing ability, but not bad. So there's some synergy between Zoe and the Echo, who's up on the front lines. So that allowed Zoe to dodge aggression one time in the fight. She will dash away when she gets to 50% health. And that actually did swing the fight there. That allowed me to beat that Jax. But if that person had itemized Jax properly, then they would have won that fight pretty easily because Jax kind of overtuned here. Anyway, I can look to go to level 9. There's not a lot I want here. And I look at these items and I click on the Chalice. And as soon as I click on the Chalice, I immediately was like, oh, that was the wrong item. I should have picked up a Zephyr. I should have picked up a Zephyr. What is the big threat? It's these big mech units that have 1 billion health. Oh, I have regret. I have instant regret. So, like, look, multiple mech teams here. Again, remember I said mech a little overtuned in this particular patch? So, another mech team here, and it looks like they're playing through the Leona, which is kind of interesting. Leona is the 5-cost mech, but she's really a tank unit. She's not really a carry unit. So I don't know if this was the right unit to be turning into the mech. I don't know. Good news is it looks like we're not having any difficulty here, but oh, I really, really could have used a Zephyr against the, and we're going to knock this player out, but that board that has the set is still out there. And I was like, ah, man, why did I not take a Zephyr? I could have Zephyred out that set, and for at least 6 seconds. That would have given me a better chance against that person. Ugh, really should have taken that Zephyr. What is the Chalice doing? It's giving Zoe 30 more AP. Well, great. She goes from 250 to 280. That does not actually do a whole lot. All right, well, the good news is I get to dodge that player for 1 more round. I'm going to be up against the person who is playing Built Different. Now, the big mistake, though, is the Built Different trait is only Silver Augment. It is not a Prismatic Built Different. It's not Gold Built Different. When you have Silver Built Different, you generally want to move out of it in the late game because the benefit of playing Built Different is just not as sufficient to overcome having no traits when you get to the late game. And that's exactly what's happening here. This person's board has just fallen off over the course of the game because, as mentioned, the Built Different trait, when it's only a Silver Augment, just isn't strong enough to help carry you through in the latter stages of the game. So there's some nice CC on this board. There's actually some good knock-up there, but we are not... Fortunately, we did not give Viego any resets. He's a reset-based champion in this patch. And so we're going to be able to win that round. And I believe we knocked that player out of the lobby with that loss for some, or do they still have a couple of hit points left? Nope, they're out of the lobby with that loss. A little bit weird the way this hasn't been updating. But the problem is now we still got to deal with that set board. And I was like, this person is also ultra rich. They have consistency, which is the augment that gives you additional gold when you're on a win streak or a loss streak. And they loss streaked all through the early game and managed to get to the late game, where now they've been win streaking. I don't know if you were paying attention to this. I didn't catch this until I went back and watched the replay. They've been on 36 health ever since I hit them for the very first time when they had set 2-star in with the Anima Visage. So that's like 12 or 13 rounds in a row that they've won. And they've just kind of played the consistency thing to perfection here. And giant loss streak to get 1 billion gold from consistency, and then hitting the key units, and then going on a big win streak. But that said, this does not feel very balanced right now. Look at the set. The set just literally takes no damage at all. Like, we cannot get this unit under 70% health at all. I think we maybe got it to like 60% health, but like I have a Zoe that's a 3-star Zoe. She's dealing like 4,000, 5,000 damage per cast, and like we can't even get this unit below 70% health. That doesn't feel right. All right, well, there is one hope here. There's a Zephyr, so maybe if I can Zephyr this unit out, we can actually maybe win this fight. So that's the hope. Zephyr this unit out and just try our best. It would be nice if I had 2 Zephyrs so I could take the Leona out as well. What I really need to do is kill both. I need to get the set out of the fight and then find some way to also deal with that Sona that's healing them. What I probably should have done was tried sending the... Oh, they also have a 2-star Leona and a 2-star Mordekaiser because they're ultra rich from winning all these rounds. I probably should have taken my Zoe and tried to send her into the back lines. That's what the hacker trait does. You can designate one unit where the little horse is and send them into the back line. So I probably should have just tried sending the Zoe into the back lines, because then maybe she'd be able to snipe the Soraka back there that's getting all those heals off. But I don't know. I was still trying to figure this stuff out, and I mean, we're focusing the Mordekaiser right now. We actually killed the Mord, but I guess he still got his ult off, and he's going to shred the magic resistance of my whole team. But can we damage the set at all? Can anyone deal any damage to this unit whatsoever? We have the entire team hitting him, and he just literally takes no damage because he's regenerating 200 health every single second and being healed by Sona. So I'm actually going to do one of my rare things and type, "This didn't feel fair," in the chat. So like I am killing the entire enemy team, but then Set just charged and one-shot Zoe. I was like, this does not feel balanced. Does not feel like this is the way that this is supposed to work. So something about this interaction, again, mech giving Set 1 billion health, and then him having the Anima Visage so he heals 200 health every single second, plus Gargoyles, plus Titans. And in addition to that, he's also getting shields constantly as well. That's what Set's ability does, gives him that shield. Plus, he also did a lot of damage. He did 9,000 damage in that fight. So, yeah, did not feel fair, but I guess that's PBE for you. Well, anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, take care, folks.